My beloved child. Pause for a moment and breathe, because what you are about to hear is not ordinary. It is not random. It is not a coincidence that you found this message tonight. Finally, the truth about your stair is being revealed. Not the physical steps beneath your feet, but the invisible stair you have been climbing in silence, the one no one applauded, the one no one understood. Don't skip this. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. You have been asking yourself why the journey feels slow, why progress seems hidden, why others appear to rise faster while you remain unseen. But what you could not see is that every step you took was being counted. Every tear you hid was being noticed. Every time you chose patience over pride, silence over argument, growth over revenge, you stepped higher. You thought you were standing still. You were actually ascending. There is a reason the exposure is happening now. Timing matters. Revelation only comes when the foundation is strong enough to carry it. If this had been shown to you earlier, you might have doubted it. If it had been revealed before you matured, you might have mishandled it. But now you are different. Now you are ready to understand what your stair truly represents. It represents resilience. It represents unseen preparation. It represents the quiet transformation that has been shaping you behind closed doors. While you were worried about outcomes, something greater was working on your character. While you were comparing yourself to others, your path was being custom-built, step by step, detail by detail. Look closely at your life over the past months. Notice the patterns. The closed doors that later made sense. The delays that protected you. The silence that strengthened you. None of it was accidental. Each moment was a stair. Each challenge was a step upward, even when it felt like you were descending. That is the paradox of growth. It often feels like loss before it becomes elevation. You may not realize this, but people around you have started to sense the shift. The way you speak now carries depth. The way you respond carries calm authority. The way you move carries intention. You are no longer reacting from impulse, you are responding from awareness. That is not a small change. That is a higher level. Stay with me here. Do not scroll away. What is being exposed is not about others, it is about you. The truth is that your stair was never meant to be visible to everyone. Some climbs are private. Some victories are silent. But there comes a moment when the results can no longer be hidden. That moment is approaching. There was a time when you doubted your direction. You questioned your worth. You wondered if your efforts were meaningless. Yet even in that uncertainty, you kept moving. Even when you wanted to give up, you chose to try one more time. Even when you felt unseen, you continued to build yourself. That consistency has power. That discipline has momentum. Something is about to shift in your external world because your internal world has already shifted. And external elevation always follows internal alignment. This is not fantasy. This is the natural rhythm of growth. When your mindset rises, your environment eventually follows. The exposure of your stair means clarity is coming. You will start recognizing why certain people exited your life. You will understand why some opportunities disappeared. You will see why certain conversations ended abruptly. It was not rejection. It was redirection to a higher step. And here is the surprising truth you were not expecting: the very things you once felt embarrassed about are now your greatest qualifications. The struggles you tried to hide are the stories that will inspire others. The setbacks you thought defined you negatively are actually proof of your endurance. What you feared would disqualify you has refined you. Don't skip this next part. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. There is a quiet breakthrough forming. Not loud. Not dramatic. Not chaotic. Quiet. Solid. Lasting. The kind of breakthrough that does not shake your foundation but strengthens it. The kind that does not demand attention but naturally commands respect. You will not need to force anything. The stair you have climbed will position you where you belong. You have been thinking that exposure means being publicly praised. But sometimes exposure means inner realization. It means suddenly understanding your own value so deeply that no external opinion can disturb it. That level of confidence changes everything. When you no longer beg to be chosen, you become undeniable. Right now, you are standing on a step higher than you think. The only reason you do not see the height is because you have grown accustomed to it. Growth feels normal when you live inside it. But from the outside, the difference is clear. The patience you developed. The wisdom you gained. The emotional control you built. These are not small improvements. They are elevation. And there is more. What is being prepared for you requires stability. It requires maturity. It requires self-awareness. That is why the process took time. Rushed success often collapses. Slow elevation builds permanence. You were not being delayed. You were being fortified. Take a moment and reflect. Think about the person you were 1 year ago. Notice the difference. Notice the lessons you have absorbed. Notice the boundaries you have established. Notice the peace you now protect. That transformation is your stair. That is what is being exposed. This is not about competition. It is not about proving anyone wrong. It is about finally seeing yourself clearly. When you recognize your own ascent, you stop doubting your destination. When you realize how far you have come, you stop fearing how far you have to go. Something extraordinary is forming ahead of you. It may look subtle at first. It may appear as a small opportunity, a simple conversation, an unexpected connection. But do not underestimate it. Often the most powerful doors appear ordinary before they open fully. Stay a little longer. You might miss the turning point if you leave now. Your stair has been hidden long enough. The exposure is not meant to overwhelm you, it is meant to affirm you. It is meant to remind you that you were never stuck. You were climbing. Quietly. Persistently. Intentionally. And this is only the beginning of the revelation. In the next part, you will understand why the people who underestimated you are about to see you differently, and why the very space that once ignored you will soon recognize your presence in a way you never imagined. Do not assume you know what is coming. The higher steps are closer than they appear. Everything changes the moment you realize the stair was never about proving yourself to the world, but about preparing yourself for a world that is about to notice you. You thought the exposure would feel loud, dramatic, undeniable. But what is unfolding is far more refined. It is subtle alignment. It is quiet positioning. It is the invisible rearranging of circumstances so that when you step forward next, the ground beneath you feels steady. Don't skip this. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. For so long, you believed your growth had to be validated externally. You looked for applause. You looked for acknowledgement. You looked for someone to say, "I see how far you've come." But what you did not realize was that the most powerful elevation happens when no one is watching. That is when integrity forms. That is when strength solidifies. That is when character becomes unshakable. Your stair was being built in silence because silence removes distraction. In silence, you confront yourself. In silence, you refine your weaknesses. In silence, you face the parts of you that needed healing, maturity, and clarity. That private work is what makes public recognition sustainable. There were moments you almost turned back. Moments when you thought, maybe this climb isn't worth it. Moments when exhaustion whispered that stopping would be easier. But even then, you did not fully quit. You slowed down, yes. You doubted, yes. But you did not abandon your ascent. That decision is more significant than you understand. Because here is the truth, most people do not fail because they lack ability. They fail because they lack endurance. And endurance is what you have developed step by step. You have learned how to wait without losing faith in yourself. You have learned how to improve without needing immediate reward. You have learned how to grow without constant reassurance. And now the exposure begins. You will start noticing small confirmations. Subtle respect from people who once overlooked you. Opportunities appearing in spaces where doors were previously closed. Conversations shifting tone. The energy around you changing. This is not coincidence. This is consequence. It is the natural result of who you have become. Do not underestimate these subtle shifts. They are indicators. Indicators that your internal elevation is now influencing your external reality. When your mindset rises, your standards rise. When your standards rise, your environment must adjust. There were relationships that could not continue with the new version of you. Not because you are better than anyone, but because you are different. Growth creates new boundaries. Growth creates new expectations. Growth changes tolerance levels. And when you changed, the stair beneath you shifted too. Some people mistook your quiet focus for weakness. They misread your patience as passivity. They misunderstood your silence as insecurity. But silence can be strategy. Patience can be power. And restraint can be strength. What they saw as stillness was actually preparation. Stay with me here. Do not scroll away. The next part matters deeply. Your exposure is not about revenge. It is not about watching others regret their perception of you. It is about alignment. When you elevate, your circle naturally recalibrates. Those who resonate with your growth will draw closer. Those who resist your evolution will drift away. It is not dramatic. It is natural. And here comes the surprising realization: the stair was never linear. You thought you were climbing straight upward, but in reality, some steps were sideways. Some were pauses. Some felt like descents. But each movement had purpose. Each shift shaped perspective. Each delay sharpened discernment. You are now more aware than you were before. You notice patterns faster. You detect intentions more clearly. You trust your intuition more confidently. That awareness is elevation. Awareness prevents repetition of old mistakes. Awareness accelerates wise decisions. Awareness protects your peace. Peace is one of the highest steps you have reached. There was a time when chaos felt normal. When overthinking felt constant. When emotional turbulence defined your days. But gradually, you chose calm. You chose understanding over reaction. You chose reflection over impulse. That shift is monumental. And because you chose peace, clarity is following. The exposure of your stair means clarity about your next move. It means you will no longer feel confused about who belongs in your future. It means you will no longer chase validation from spaces that cannot offer it. It means you will recognize your own worth without needing permission. Don't skip this next insight. Stay till the end. There is a new level of confidence forming within you. Not loud confidence. Not performative confidence. Quiet certainty. The kind that does not need to announce itself. The kind that does not compete. The kind that simply knows. That quiet certainty changes how you walk into rooms. It changes how you speak in conversations. It changes how you negotiate opportunities. People may not understand why they suddenly respect you more, but they will feel it. They will sense the difference. Because when you believe in your own ascent, your energy communicates it before your words do. Think about the challenges that once intimidated you. Notice how they no longer carry the same weight. Notice how you approach difficulty with more composure now. That is growth. That is evidence of your climb. That is proof your stair was real all along. And here is something even deeper: the exposure is happening inside you first. Before the world sees your elevation, you will see it. Before others acknowledge your progress, you will feel it. Before recognition arrives, self-recognition solidifies. Self-recognition is transformative. When you truly see yourself, you stop settling. You stop shrinking. You stop over-explaining. You stop doubting your value in rooms where you belong. That internal shift is what prepares you for external expansion. Something extraordinary is approaching, but it requires your readiness. Not readiness rooted in anxiety, but readiness rooted in alignment. Alignment between who you are and where you are going. There will be moments in the coming days where you sense acceleration. Ideas flowing faster. Conversations aligning unexpectedly. Timing improving. Do not dismiss these signs. They are reflections of the stair you have climbed. The world responds differently to someone who has done the inner work. You have refined your reactions. You have disciplined your habits. You have strengthened your mindset. These are not small adjustments. They are structural upgrades. And structural upgrades change outcomes. Stay a little longer. You might miss the turning point if you leave now. There is also a lesson in humility woven into your climb. You did not elevate by overpowering others. You elevated by improving yourself. You did not rise by diminishing anyone. You rose by expanding your own capacity. That kind of elevation lasts. And because your ascent was authentic, your next level will be stable. Imagine standing at the top of a staircase you once thought endless. Imagine looking back and seeing how far you have come. That vision is closer than you realize. Not because of luck. Not because of coincidence. But because of consistent growth. Consistency compounds. Every small decision you made to improve, to learn, to heal, to mature, has accumulated. What once seemed insignificant has built momentum. And momentum is powerful. Momentum carries you forward even when motivation fluctuates. You are entering a season where your past effort begins to echo. Echo in opportunities. Echo in recognition. Echo in personal fulfillment. Echo in the way you carry yourself. This is not fantasy. This is the natural rhythm of preparation meeting timing. And yet, there is one more layer you must understand. The exposure of your stair also means exposure of your blind spots. Growth does not end here. Elevation does not remove refinement. There are still higher steps. Still deeper awareness. Still greater capacity waiting to be unlocked. Do not become complacent. Celebrate progress, but remain open to evolution. The most powerful individuals are those who never stop learning. Those who never stop adjusting. Those who remain humble even at higher levels. Your humility is one of your greatest strengths. It allows you to listen. It allows you to adapt. It allows you to improve without ego blocking your path. That is why your stair has been stable. That is why your foundation is strong. Something huge is waiting for you, but it will not arrive as noise. It will arrive as opportunity wrapped in subtlety. It will require discernment. It will require courage. It will require you to trust the version of yourself you have become. And you are ready. You may not feel fully prepared. You may still carry traces of doubt. But readiness does not mean absence of uncertainty. It means willingness despite it. And you have shown willingness repeatedly. You stayed when quitting seemed easier. You learned when ignoring seemed simpler. You reflected when reacting felt tempting. These choices matter. The exposure continues. In the next phase, you will see how your past struggles are about to position you uniquely. You will recognize how experiences you once questioned are now qualifications. You will understand why certain delays were necessary. Do not assume the revelation is complete. What you have heard so far is only the foundation. The higher steps hold deeper insight. Stay till the end of this journey. Do not underestimate what is unfolding. The stair you thought was hidden is now being illuminated. And with illumination comes direction. The next part will reveal why the moment you feared most actually shaped your greatest strength, and how that strength is about to open a door you once believed was permanently closed. There was a moment you almost forgot, a quiet turning point that did not look important at the time, yet it changed everything about your climb. You remember it if you think carefully. It was the day you decided not to react the way you usually would. The day you chose growth over ego. The day you stopped explaining yourself to people determined to misunderstand you. That single decision added a powerful step to your stair. It did not feel dramatic. It did not feel heroic. But it was defining. Don't skip this. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The truth is, your stair has been exposed not only to elevate you but to remind you of who you are becoming. You are no longer the person who panics at every delay. You are no longer the person who chases every distraction. You are no longer the person who tolerates every inconsistency. You have evolved. There was a time when you mistook noise for progress. When constant movement felt like growth. But now you understand that strategic stillness can be more powerful than restless motion. You have learned the difference between activity and alignment. Alignment is what has been forming behind the scenes. Look at the way your perspective has shifted. Situations that once consumed your thoughts now barely disturb your peace. Opinions that once shook your confidence now pass through without impact. You are not indifferent. You are centered. And being centered is a higher step than you ever imagined. This exposure is not random. It is happening because you are stepping into a new season of clarity. Clarity about your direction. Clarity about your value. Clarity about your standards. And when clarity arrives, confusion begins to dissolve. You will notice it in subtle ways. Decisions will feel lighter. Doubt will lose its intensity. You will trust yourself faster. Stay with me. This next realization is crucial. The moment you feared most was not meant to break you. It was meant to refine you. The disappointment that once kept you awake at night trained your resilience. The silence that once felt unbearable strengthened your independence. The uncertainty that once made you anxious sharpened your focus. What you thought was a setback was actually conditioning. Conditioning for leadership in your own life. Conditioning for composure under pressure. Conditioning for discernment in complex situations. You were being prepared for spaces that require stability, not emotional turbulence. And now those spaces are closer than ever. You may start noticing invitations you never expected. Conversations that carry depth instead of surface talk. Opportunities that align with your values instead of compromising them. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations. Confirmation that your stair is solid. For a long time, you felt invisible. Like your efforts were unnoticed. Like your growth was unacknowledged. But invisibility was protection. It allowed you to develop without distraction. It allowed you to build without comparison. It allowed you to strengthen without pressure. When exposure comes too early, it can overwhelm. But when exposure comes at the right time, it empowers. This is the right time. There is a new level of respect forming around you. Not because you demanded it, but because you embody it. People sense when someone has done the inner work. They sense discipline. They sense maturity. They sense quiet confidence. You no longer need to prove your worth through constant explanation. Your presence speaks before your words do. Don't skip this next insight. Stay till the end. The stair you have climbed is not only about personal growth. It is about influence. Not loud influence. Not forced influence. Natural influence. The kind that inspires others without trying to control them. The kind that shifts energy in a room simply by being authentic. You are entering a phase where your example will matter more than your argument. Think about how far you have come emotionally. You recover faster from disappointment. You respond more thoughtfully to challenges. You protect your energy more intentionally. That emotional intelligence is a higher step than external success alone. Because external success without internal stability collapses. But internal stability creates sustainable elevation. And here is the surprising revelation: the people who once doubted your path will soon recognize its wisdom. Not because you changed for them, but because your consistency made the difference undeniable. Consistency always reveals truth. The truth is that you have been building momentum quietly. Every time you chose discipline over distraction, you strengthened your climb. Every time you honored your standards, you reinforced your foundation. Every time you believed in your vision despite slow results, you ascended. Momentum is invisible at first. But once it accumulates, it becomes unstoppable. You may begin to feel acceleration now. A sense that things are aligning faster. That clarity is arriving quicker. That your decisions carry more weight. This is not pressure. This is positioning. Positioning for something that requires your current level of maturity. Stay a little longer. You might miss the turning point if you leave now. There is also a deeper layer to this exposure. It is not only about what you are gaining. It is about what you are releasing. Old doubts are losing their grip. Old insecurities are fading. Old patterns are dissolving. You are lighter now. And lightness creates speed. When you stop carrying unnecessary weight, you climb faster. When you stop revisiting past disappointments, you move forward with clarity. When you stop questioning your own worth, you operate with authority. Authority does not mean dominance. It means self-trust. Self-trust is one of the highest steps on your stair. There was a time when you looked outward for every answer. Now you look inward first. There was a time when you needed constant reassurance. Now you validate yourself. There was a time when you feared making the wrong move. Now you understand that even mistakes teach. This transformation is powerful. Something extraordinary is approaching, but it will not shout. It will arrive in a moment that feels almost ordinary. A conversation. A realization. An invitation. But inside that ordinary moment will be extraordinary potential. Do not overlook it. You have been trained to recognize subtle opportunities. Your patience sharpened your observation. Your silence deepened your perception. Your discipline strengthened your intuition. You are ready to identify what others might miss. And when you recognize it, act with confidence. Confidence does not require perfection. It requires belief in your preparation. And you have prepared more than you realize. Look back at the fears that once limited you. Notice how many of them have already lost power. Notice how situations that once intimidated you now feel manageable. That is evidence. Evidence that your stair was real. Evidence that your growth was authentic. Don't skip this final reflection. Your exposure is not about proving others wrong. It is about proving yourself right. Right for trusting your path. Right for continuing when quitting seemed tempting. Right for believing that slow progress is still progress. There is a door ahead that aligns with your current level of maturity. A door that would not have suited the old version of you. A door that requires the calm, disciplined, self-aware individual you have become. And when it opens, you will understand why the climb was necessary. The next part will reveal how this new door connects directly to a desire you once thought was too distant, and why the timing of its arrival will feel perfectly aligned with everything you have learned. Stay ready. Stay aware. Your stair is no longer hidden. It is illuminated, and the higher view is closer than you think.